Did you know that at any given point of time, at least 40 million people across the world are forced to live their lives without the freedom to make their own choices? They're exploited for labor or sexual favors without their consent, forced to work and live in conditions contrary to human dignity. Yes, the hidden world of modern slavery is a reality of our times. So we are asking, can we eradicate modern-day slavery? According to the Global Slavery Index, 18 million modern slaves in India. That's, say, about 1.4% of Indian population. Why is the figure so high?
Well, I always thought that this figure is actually very, very low.
Is that so?
If you look at the Arjun Sen Gupta report, a central government report, some years ago, it said there were 300 million people in the informal sector. Now, the informal sector is a sector where the law doesn't cover anybody at all. No minimum wages, no health services, nothing. Now, 300 million people without legal coverage, migrating, being trafficked, and so on. And 18 million bonded labor doesn't fit. My sort of guess, and I think it would be an enlightened guess, is that 1/3, at least 1/3 of unorganized workers would be in the category of bonded labor.
That's about
100 million people.
As we know that 80% and more than that is in the informal sector, and very difficult to estimate how many people are actually living and working in forced conditions. But the way we define it, people who are actually producing for market, doing something, either a service or some manufacturing work, which is done for market. And if they are not treated with dignity and forced to work, they would be considered.
I would actually pick up the word forced more, saying that forced involuntary work is modern slavery.
See, when people are left with no alternative opportunity, they're bound to get into these professions. So, for example, if we talk about manual scavenging, so government has a scheme which allocates money every year for budgets. So like this year, they have allocated 110 crores for rehabilitation of manual scavengers. So, and if there was an RTI put, so until 2018...
Right to information application
yes,
is what you're talking
2018, until 2018 September, 60 crore rupees for the rehabilitation scheme is unused.
If you look at globally, G20 countries, and this is again a figure from Global Slavery Index, import about $354 billion at-risk products. The US alone is responsible for $145 billion of these imports. How do you ensure that global supply chains are clean for businesses?
See, the most important aspect is that the global companies are not aware where their product is actually being made. It is informal, but also hidden. And it is hidden by people deliberately because the working conditions are not good. Children may be working. The wages are very low. So the task here is to educate companies who are buying from India that their work may not be happening in the main factories only. And there is a huge informal sector which requires to be seen and supported to make sure that their products are risk-free.
Colin, in your experience as well, when you've spoken about these issues, are businesses open to address these issues, or are they looking more to cut down their costs?
I think abroad, the corporations would be aghast. Generally, if they came to know that their product has been made by little hands of slavery. But in India, does anybody care? I don't think. And if you look at the buildings in India, all the bricks, I think half the bricks of the buildings that are being made in India are from bricks coming from Rajasthan and Haryana and the neighboring states, and quite probably with child labor and bonded labor. Do Indians, it's a question we should ask ourselves, Do us middle-class Indians, upper-class Indians, educated elite, do
Absolutely.
we really care?
But do we really care, Ria? Would you look for a product tag on the dress that you're wearing right now, whether it's a risk-free product?
I think I wouldn't. In India, I think people are habitual of involuntary servitude.
Because we work with businesses every day, so we are able to see a positive picture as well.
Okay.
And we interact with consumers as well. So we see that people have interest. The only thing is how to consolidate it and make sure that it grows.
What is the solution to break this chain right now?
Yeah, let me tell you what I think is the solution. The core of the solution lies in organizing. The core of the solution lies in NGOs proliferating, going out into the countryside, capturing or releasing bonded laborers and taking them to the authorities and freeing them. Combined with a legal strategy which will ensure that they remain free and that they will be rehabilitated. That's the core. Struggle plus the law.
Manoj, and I want to come to you because earlier you mentioned that there is a good business solution because where consumers and businesses could have a win-win. There are laws in the UK, in Australia this year, in fact, where businesses are asked after a certain turnover to publish their reports on their dealings in global supply chain and what are the steps being taken to deal with modern slavery. So is that something we can implement in India?
Yeah, definitely. And because there is a momentum. The California, transparency law and France and Netherlands are also moving in that direction.
Okay.
So there is a global momentum for making sure that the businesses play a positive
So can it
role.
be done in India? Yes or no?
It can be done, and it
But
should be
there
done.
are challenges.
Yes.
All right.
In
All
addition
right.
to that, I think promoting right to education strongly is very important.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm afraid I'm completely out of time, but thank you for joining us. Do tweet with #WorkLifeIndia to tell us about your feedback. Thank you.